Police Chief Celeste Murphy addressed the community concerns tonight, 3 weeks after officers shot and killed a 17-year-old they thought had pulled a gun on them.
Local 3's Abigail Martin attended the meeting and caught up with Chief Murphy.
Greg, Cindy, the chief says she was invited by the community to answer their questions. She says she wanted to clear up any false rumors about what happened September 3rd.
One of the things that I think that was prevalent amongst the community was that they did not think we had anyone there that could communicate in his native language, which we indeed did from the start.
17-year-old David Mendez Lopez was fatally shot by Chattanooga officers on September 3rd. Police Chief Celeste Murphy says they responded to a shots fired call at South Kelly Street and says Lopez and the family were inside the home. She says they were able to get the family members out, but Lopez did not surrender. Police say Lopez pointed a gun at officers and they fired at the teen. Lopez was pronounced dead at the scene.
Ultimately, our goal from this police department is preservation of life, and there was efforts during that exchange that we constantly were trying to make sure we de-escalated the incident as best as we could.
A community member says some say Lopez was not holding a gun, but instead a cell phone. Chief Murphy says police and a family member were communicating to Lopez through a phone, but there was a weapon on scene that was recovered. An attendee then asked if body cam footage would be released, and Murphy says after the TBI's investigation is complete and her department has control of the video, it will be available upon request.
I want them to know that we are indeed going to be transparent about what happened as soon as we are able to have control of the investigation and the facts to be able to distribute.
Chief Murphy says she wanted the opportunity to speak to Lopez's family, but understands they are grieving. She says the police department is saddened by the family's loss and says they are struggling with what happened. She says she understands the community is in pain and says she will be truthful.
We don't want them to remain in pain or remain in a state of confusion about what we do, how we do it, while this is going on.
A very emotional moment happened when a girl asked the chief why the crime scene wasn't cleaned up. And Murphy said she would look into it and promised the department would do better. For more information on victim services, you can visit our website. Reporting live in studio, I'm Abigail Martin, Local 3 News.
Thank you, Abigail. Chattanooga police officers tell us they understand why residents are concerned for their personal safety and the safety of the community after violence erupted over the weekend.
Grayson Gordon has the officers' response.
4 different shootings led to 6 people shot over the weekend, but the Chattanooga Police Department ensures this was just a tragic coincidence and not a spark in crime.
Whenever people see multiple incidents back to back, sometimes they think, crime is up. But if you look at it throughout the year, that's not the case.
Sergeant Miller with CPD says crime rates have remained steady since 2020. The first incident happened Friday night on Windsor Street, where 2 people were shot, leaving 1 with severe injuries. The second happened on Swan Road, where investigators say the shooter was drinking alcohol while handling a gun.
Guns with alcohol or other intoxicants, there's a possibility that there could be something bad that comes out of it.
The 24-year-old victim has severe injuries, and the suspect, Breland Dawsett, was arrested and charged with reckless endangerment. Sergeant Miller says in this investigation, like others, charges could change.
There's a wide variety of things that can happen throughout the course of the investigation, so that's why we put in there that it is subject to change.
Just after midnight Sunday morning, a 28-year-old woman and a 33-year-old man were shot on Wilson Street, a block over from the first shooting. Chattanooga police believe the man was the intended target, but the woman ended up dying from her injuries. A few hours later, a 23-year-old man died after being shot in the parking lot of the VIP lounge on Bonnie Oaks Drive. CPD asked anyone with information to come forward by either calling in, using the Atlas One app, or emailing the information.
Just because you call in doesn't mean that we ask for your name, doesn't mean that we ask for your contact information, and doesn't mean that we put that into our reports. We can use that information to put the pieces of the puzzle together.
Grayson Gordon with that report. If you know anything that could help police with these investigations, call the police department's homicide tip line 423-643-5100.
Today marks 2 years since a shooting on Grove Street that remains unsolved. Nearly 100 people were there on the street September 25th, 2021, when someone opened fire. 7 women were shot. 2 of them died. If you know anything about what happened or who was involved, call 698-3333. You can remain anonymous. Now time to talk weather.
Now let's check in with Chief Meteorologist David Carnes. I'm wondering, more of the same this week, David?
More of the same. We may see it punctuated by a few showers middle of the week, but overall some nice weather, but unseasonably warm weather and some beautiful sunsets. Thank you, Mike Flynn, sending this beautiful fiery sunset in from Ringgold. And before the sunset, great weather to get out, do some work on the farm. Oh, plowing the fields in Jasper. That's how you do that, Gabrielle Hampton. Thank you so much for sending that in. You can send pictures in to weather at local3news.com. Well, look at that. 71 Chattanooga, 63 in Cleveland, 66 in Dalton. Already down to 58 degrees in Murphy. Our high today, 86 in Chattanooga, 63 the low. Temperatures a little bit above average. And look at our rainfall deficit for the month, 3.37 inches below average. Skywatchers chiming in, 85 Delano, the high 85 in Chatsworth, 81 10 Mile and 87 in Dunlap, 86 Trenton, 84 in Cleveland at 81 in Ringgold. Looking ahead to tomorrow, we're going to see it ramping up, big warm up. Look at that. We're expecting a high of about 89 degrees. Average high for tomorrow's date is 81 degrees. Not a record, but very warm. Got some good cloud cover south and east of Chattanooga working its way to the east. Not much over the scenic city, no rain with those clouds. And it's going to be overall dry, save a few showers the middle of the week for this week. But next week, extremely dry and extremely warm. Now, when we talk about extremely warm, we're going to see 89 tomorrow, but then level off, low to mid 80s. But notice our average highs are going to be receding down into the upper 70s by the beginning of October. So that gap between the forecast highs and the average highs is going to expand as we move through the next week.
David, thank you. Members of the Chattanooga City Council will assemble for their weekly meeting tomorrow. The council will review the One West Side Development Project, and we'll have coverage on that meeting tomorrow night at 11.
Also tomorrow, the annual Chattanooga Tourism Summit at the Convention Center. The conference will explore the future of Chattanooga's tourism industry. This year's keynote speaker is the CEO and president of Next Factor, a consulting firm that specializes in travel and tourism. The summit begins at 11 a.m. tomorrow. Still ahead on Local 3 News at 11, a Fulton County judge ruled the Georgia juror's identity in the election interference trial against 19 co-defendants will remain secret.
We'll tell you more about that case after the break.
The identities of the Georgia jurors who will hear the election interference trial case against former President Donald Trump and 18 co-defendants will be kept secret until the end of the trial. Fulton County judge ruled today that the jurors, quote, shall be identified by number only in court filings or in open court during the pendency of the trial, unquote. The first of those trials begins October 23rd with defendants Kenneth Cheeseborough and Sidney Powell. Additionally, those involved in the case are barred from disclosing names, addresses, phone numbers, or identifying employment information of jury members or prospective jurors.
The Catoosa County Sheriff's Office wants your help identifying the male pictured in these photos. Early yesterday morning, they say the man walked up to a car in the driveway and stole a firearm from inside the vehicle and walked away. Security footage showed the suspect wore a mask and had no identifying marks to be seen. But if you recognize the person by shoes, backpack, or clothing style, the Catoosa County Sheriff's Office would love to hear from you. 706-935-2424. Coming up on Local 3 News at 11.
I have an 11-year-old son who has been asking to go to Disney World for most of his life. We're looking at having to postpone that trip.
The federal government could shut down next week if Congress passes a stopgap funding bill.
It's the latest episode of high drama in a congressional showdown. We'll tell you more.
This is Local 3 News at 11.
We've heard this story before. 5 days now from a potential federal government shutdown that is unless Congress passes a stopgap funding bill.
With little progress to report, NBC's Garrett Hake looks at the tough consequences some Americans will face if a shutdown happens.
At a Washington warehouse, volunteers are preparing for the practical impact of the political impasse looming 5 miles south on Capitol Hill.
We know that when budgets are stretched, food is the first thing to go.
The Capital Area Food Bank is now planning for a possible surge of 100,000 people in the D.C. region needing food assistance soon if the government shuts down this weekend.
Think about the cleaning crews, the food service, those who have food trucks outside of government buildings and offices.
A shutdown would divide some 4 million federal employees nationwide into two groups. Essential workers, including active duty military, border patrol, and air traffic controllers, expected to keep reporting for work. And furloughed workers, simply sent home. Neither would see a paycheck until the government reopens.
We're doing a lot of belt tightening.
Wisconsin's Social Security claims specialist and single mom, Jessica LaPointe, expects to work without pay.
This has to be hard to discuss with your family.
Yeah, I have an 11-year-old son who has been asking to go to Disney World for most of his life. We're looking at having to postpone that trip in order to just stay afloat during this unknown period.
A shutdown would also slow services like food safety inspections and applications for passports and small business loans. The White House claims 10,000 kids would immediately lose access to Head Start, and funding for WIC, a nutrition program that helps low-income women and young children, would dry up within days. Members of Congress, who will continue to be paid, have until midnight Saturday to strike a deal.
I never quit, even when the time runs out, so we'll get it done.
NBC's Garrett Hake reporting. People in Chattanooga will also be impacted if there is a government shutdown. UTC finance and economics professor Bento Lobo says there are countless agencies that would deal with the repercussions of a government shutdown. The FDA, EPA, OSHA, and more. Lobo says everyday people who aren't federal employees will be impacted as well. National parks and museums will be closed if a shutdown happens. Lobo says some agencies are protected should a shutdown go into effect.
It also bears noting that some of the agencies that are permanently funded, like Social Security and Medicare, Veterans Affairs, these are not going to be impacted. Likewise, law enforcement and public safety is not going to be impacted by a government shutdown.
Lobo says it's vital that an agreement is met in the next 5 days to avoid that shutdown.
Time to talk weather. We've reached a pattern of higher than normal temperatures and lower than normal rainfall, right?
Yeah, and it looks like that's going to continue to be the case, Greg, Cindy, as we go through the week, even though we're still expecting a couple of showers midweek, but I don't think it's really going to change our trajectory that much with our rainfall. Beautiful sunset, by the way. Murphy, North Carolina, one of the prettiest places on earth. Travis Hicks doing a great job getting a picture of that, demonstrating it. And thank you, Travis, also for being our sky watcher in beautiful Murphy. We also have a gorgeous picture. Oh, I thought we did. Well, you can send your pictures in to weather at local3news.com, and we like to show them off as much as we can. Overall, it is a warm, dry pattern through next week, even with the chance for a few spotty showers popping up Wednesday, Thursday of this week. Friday through next week, though, very warm and very dry. So right now we're at 71 degrees, feeling good, dew point of 61, so it's up a little bit. We are going to see our dew point rising a little bit, which means our moisture levels, our humidity will be climbing a little bit. It's not going to be that oppressive, but it will be maybe noticeable over the next couple of days, especially as we head into Wednesday, Thursday, when, again, that's when we'll have a chance of a shower or two. 64 right now in Cleveland, 66 in Dalton, 64 in Scottsboro, and yeah, heading out, we saw it dropping down into the 70s where we're at 71 right now. Tropical Storm Philippe, 11 o'clock advisory, 35-mile-per-hour winds. It is not doing well at all, this storm, and it looks like it may not hold together that well as it moves through time. Not crazy worried about that one. This one will likely become our next tropical storm, and we will keep an eye on its direction. Beautiful graphic showing the lack of rainfall today. That says 3.22. I should have changed it. It's actually 3.37 inches below average rainfall for the month. For the month so far, 0.09, 9/100ths of an inch of rain. A few days where we had a trace here and there. A few days of barely measurable rainfall. Of course, that's measured at the airport. So bottom line, we could use some rain. We're looking at only 25% of our normal rainfall in Chattanooga the last 30 days. We're looking at 35% Cleveland. There's a 42%, 33%. The percentages do get quite a bit higher, more than 100% of our normal rainfall when we head up toward the Blue Ridge. Not going to see that added to too much tomorrow. You can see a little of that cloud cover, not anything that's going to offer us any rainfall tomorrow. You can see a boundary that's going to bring some showers off to our southeast. Will we see any of this rainfall? I am putting us at about a 20% chance of a stray shower on Wednesday. Watching this area that might bring a couple of showers north of Chattanooga in the evening. But again, I'm only putting a 20% chance in for Wednesday, 10% chance in for Thursday, and then after that, we are high and dry. Storm Alert 7-day forecast is going to be a toasty one tomorrow, 89 degrees, and then we're going to see it a little bit cooler, but that's going to be because of cloud cover and a chance of a couple of showers here and there, nothing appreciable, and then we'll see the sun coming back out, and temperatures will stay in the mid-80s, but again, we're going to see our average high dropping down into the upper 70s, so we will see temperatures well above where they should be this time of the year with that sunshine. Temperatures in the low to mid-80s and lows in the low 60s, guys.
David, thank you. Ford is halting production on its new $3.5 billion electric vehicle battery plant in southern Michigan. The company is pausing work and limiting spending on construction until it says it is confident the plant will be competitive. Ford, GM, and Stellantis are still in the middle of a contract dispute and strike with the UAW. Last February, Ford announced if the plant is completed, it could employ 2,500 people, with production beginning in 2026. In a statement on social media, the UAW president calls the decision to halt production a shameful, barely veiled threat by Ford to cut jobs.
The future is scary, and apparently it's here. ChatGPT is adding a new voice feature that will give you the ability to have a conversation with the artificial intelligence chatbot. It will also allow you to make requests. A strange example here, you can have it tell your kids a bedtime story. The chatbot will also be able to respond to questions, a new feature similar to Amazon's Alexa and Apple's Siri voice assistants. It will be available in the app within the next 2 weeks. Straight ahead on Local 3 News at 11, the Vols get a look at a little revenge on Saturday as they welcome South Carolina to Neyland Stadium.
And the Crimson Tide take on Mississippi State in their first conference road game of the season. Why Nick Saban believes this to be one of their toughest games. Next in sports.
The Alabama Crimson Tide appear to remember who they are in the second half of their 24-10 win over Ole Miss on Saturday. The Tide able to roll to a double-digit win over a ranked opponent, and while it may seem they could return to form, they'll be tested again this coming weekend. They took down one team from Mississippi. Now they'll look to take down the other one. They head to Starkville to take on Mississippi State. Bulldogs started off with 2 wins, then dropped back-to-back games in conference. They'll get the Tide under the lights in their own stadium, a game in which head coach Nick Saban isn't taking lightly by any means.
This is actually a bigger challenge for us than the last 2 games, in my opinion, in terms of, this team is very, physical, very aggressive on defense, create a lot of negative plays. We got a lot of starters back. They know their system, they know their scheme, they play very, very well.
Going to be a late one in Stark Vegas. This kickoff is set for 9 p.m. Eastern as Bama looks to stay unbeaten in SEC action. From the very first play of the game on Saturday, Tennessee left no doubt who would win the football game. If you're a fan, you're probably thinking, now this is the Vols team I signed up for this season. A get-right game gone right. Now it's all about revenge this week because not a single person that follows Tennessee football forgot what happened in Columbia, South Carolina last fall. A clear path to the college football playoff derailed by the Gamecocks. And now the 2023 version is pivotal for both programs. Tennessee and South Carolina both already have an SEC loss. They sure don't want to. And you'd think revenge would be on the Vols' minds. It probably is, but they'd never admit it to us.
It's a new week every week. It's a new year too. Last year they were more physical than us. They competed harder than we did on that night. We didn't handle the environment the right way. Those were lessons that had to continue to move forward with us as a program. But last year has nothing to do with this week.
And the Vols are taking things to another level on Saturday as they officially announced they'll wear their all-black get-up for the game. Dark mode has been activated. Kick is set for 7:30 on Saturday at Neyland Stadium. The #1 Georgia Bulldogs have enjoyed the friendly confines of Sanford Stadium this season. Not only do they have a nice and cozy non-conference slate, but the Dogs have yet to go on the road until this Saturday. And going on the road in SEC play is a bit of a different beast. And doing so in a rivalry game makes it all the more fun. The Deep South's oldest rivalry is set for its 128th edition on Saturday on the Plains. The Dogs have owned the series as of late, beating Auburn 6 straight times in 9 of the last 10. It will be the first road test for first-year starter Carson Beck in a hostile environment, and hopefully he'll have one of his weapons back. Chatsworth native and North Murray grad Lad McConkey hasn't played at all this season, but that may change come Saturday.
Well, he's got to practice. He's got to be able to practice, and that's a big part of it. And he's going to be able to come back to practice this week, and we're going to be able to do some more things with him. How he does in those things will determine whether or not he's able to play. We had a kind of a 2-week advised shutdown. He's done that, and we're expecting him to be able to go out there today and do some things, but non-contact early in the week and try to move to that.
So you're saying there's a chance. The Dogs and Tigers kick off at 3:30 on Saturday at Jordan-Hare Stadium. And after their 47-24 dominating victory over Sanford, the Chattanooga Mocs have cracked into the FCS Top 25 for the first time this season. The Mocs check in at number 22 with their 2-0 SoCon record. Linebacker Alex Mitchell earned SoCon Defensive Player of the Week honors as well for his efforts in the win. Mitchell had a pick 6 early in the game that set the tone for a blowout win. We'll hear from the 22nd ranked Mocs tomorrow as they gear up for Wofford this Saturday.
Time to vote for the Friday Night Football Play of the Week, brought to you by Center for Sports Medicine. We keep players in the game.
Week 6 plays of the week, and Derrick Henry would approve of this Jalen Sander for a run. Look at that stiff arm. The Bucs finally beat CCS on Friday thanks to a big night from number 9. Up in Saudi Daisy from the opening kick, it was all Hickson. Ron Suttles takes the pooch kick right back to the house. These Hickson Wildcats, man, I'm telling you, a team to watch. Then at Reggie White Field, East Hamilton dip it into their bag of tricks. Trey Crawford to Maddox Bohannon to Kyrese Willis. Perfectly executed. You know where to vote, online at local3news.com or inside our app. You have until Friday at 2.
Good stuff. Thanks, Ben.
All right. David Carnes has another look at your forecast when we come back.
One more check of the weather now.
right.
Yeah, we can do it. 3-degree guarantee, still intact. Okay, we missed it one day of the month, but still doing good. And I'm excited, $240.
Way to hold yourself accountable.
I'm sorry, what was that, Ben?
Way to hold yourself accountable.
I'm not sure I was on duty at the time. No, I'm kidding. I actually was. It was me. It was bad, too. I missed it by like 8 degrees. But anywho, there you go. You got to miss it every once in a while. But $240 in the jackpot, and thrilled to be able to give that and more to someone. We're going to keep going. Tomorrow, 89. I'm not even kidding for the high. Don't worry, it cools down a little bit after that.
It was National Daughters Day. The Tulsa Zoo in Oklahoma celebrated, unveiling the name of this 2-month-old giraffe, Mina. That means first daughter.
Oh, I like that.
The zoo says the Osage Nation named the little cutie, who's not actually that little. She's 215 pounds already and more than 7 feet tall. That's great. Mina.
They give birth like standing up, right?
I think so. I'm not sure. Okay.
Watch
we'll
it.
look that up.
Wilderness Special.
I certainly will not look that up.
Not on a work computer anyway.
No.
From the very first play of the game on Saturday, Tennessee left no doubt who would win the football game. If you're a fan, you're probably thinking, now this is the Vols team I signed up for this season. A get-right game gone right. Now it's all about revenge this week because not a single person that follows Tennessee football forgot what happened in Columbia, South Carolina last fall. A clear path to the college football playoff derailed by the Gamecocks, and now the 2023 version is pivotal for both programs. Tennessee and South Carolina both already have an SEC loss. They sure don't want to, and you'd think revenge would be on the Vols' minds. It probably is, but they'd never admit it to us.
It's a new week every week. It's a new year too. Last year they were more physical than us. They competed harder than we did on that night. We didn't handle the environment the right way. Those were lessons that had to continue to move forward with us as a program. But last year has nothing to do with this week.
And the Vols are taking things to another level on Saturday as they officially announced they'll wear their all-black get-up for the game. Dark mode has been activated. Kick is set for 7:30 on Saturday at Neyland Stadium. And after their 47-24 dominating victory over Sanford, the Chattanooga Mocs have cracked into the FCS Top 25 for the first time this season. The Mocs check in at number 22 with their 2-0 SoCon record. Linebacker Alex Mitchell earned SoCon Defensive Player of the Week honors as well for his efforts in the win. Mitchell had a pick six early in the game that set the tone for the blowout dub. We'll hear from the 22nd ranked Mocs later today as they gear up for Wofford this Saturday.
Time to vote for the Friday Night Football Play of the Week, brought to you by Center for Sports Medicine. We keep players in the game.
Week 6 plays of the week, and Derrick Henry would approve of this Jalen Sandifer run. Look at that stiff arm. The Bucs finally beat CCS on Friday, thanks to a big night from number 9. Up in Saudi Daisy from the opening kick, it was all Hickson. Ron Suttles takes the pooch kick right to the house. These Hickson Wildcats, man, I'm telling you, a team to watch. Then at Reggie Whitefield, East Hamilton dipping into their bag of tricks. Trey Crawford to Maddox Bohannon to Kyrese Willis, perfectly executed. You know where to vote. Online at local3news.com or inside our app. I know it's tough to choose. Luckily, you have until Friday at 2 to do so. Watch yourself, boys and girls. We hope you have a lovely, lovely day.